you're on the path, you go to school, you go to college, you start a family, you're on the job, career trek, and all of a sudden it's sideways and you lose your position. Now what? You've got a family. You've got to take care of them. The jobs that you're applying for aren't responding. You're not getting applied. Pretty soon your severance runs out. It happens to a lot of people. It's happened to Jon Allen. He's next. The heat is on. Let's get cooking. This is Purpose Under Pressure. It's brought to you by the Ruby Group Sandler Sales Training, serving sales professionals nationwide from their offices in Akron, Columbus, and also in Jacksonville, Florida. They are one of the highest performing Sandler Sales Training affiliates in the nation. That is good news for you if you're looking to train your sellers to do more and to be better and to accomplish their goals. They're going to make a difference for you and for your team. So check them out online at therubygroup.sandler.com. Our guest today on Purpose Under Pressure is Jon Allen, General Manager of Luke Engineering in Medina. We're going to talk about them and what they do in a moment. But first, let's say hello to Jon Allen. Welcome to Purpose Under Pressure. How you doing, sir?
Good. How you doing?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Tell me a little bit about what Luke Engineering does, and then we're going to talk a little bit about you and your journey as well.
Okay. Yeah, Luke Engineering is a family-owned business. We have locations in Wadsworth and Rittman. I'm the general manager. We anodize aluminum for any industry you can think of. That's pretty much light metal finishing is our specialty.
Yeah, it's amazing to me, all the different things that have to happen so that something can get onto a shelf, onto a store somewhere so that someone can use it. There's so many manufacturing uses and things to do. And I know Luke Engineering does a great job of doing that. And we're glad they're there in Medina. So, Jon, tell me a little bit about you. This show is called Purpose Under Pressure. We're going to talk about pressure, and it is severe. But I want to know a little bit about what makes you tick inside when you wake up in the morning, why you do what you do, and what drives Jon Allen on a daily basis.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I'm a father and a husband. So I have a wife and 4 children, a couple in college, high school, and elementary school still. So what I like to do is I'm passionate about whatever work I have. But what I really love is focusing on the people, the customers. So I look at life as everybody's a customer to me. Internally, you've got customers, even the people that employ or work for me. You know, I consider them my customer. I want to make them happy. And in turn, you know, they'll make us happy, me happy. Yeah. So that's what gets me up in the morning. I like to see things grow and things move along.
Has it always been that way for you? Is that something you've learned over time, or have you always been that kind of a let's get this done and get it done right so people can appreciate it on the other side?
Well, I think it's always been there because, well, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. And then I wanted to grow and continue to move up the chain. So got my MBA in business management. I kind of go down the salesy, marketing path. You know, I greet people with a smile on the phone. I help people out. Everybody can see how I'm helpful, you know, just in a initial conversation. And normally we win the business. So
I think it's interesting that you said a sales and marketing path. I come from the idea that everything is sales and marketing. The way you treat your family, the way you treat your customers, it's all about how can I solve a problem for you on the other side so that we can all grow together. I mean, that's kind of life. And sometimes people say, oh, you're a salesman? Yeah. I'm really proud. So tell me a little bit, Jon, let's talk about pressure. We talked about purpose. You want to do good work for good people, but sometimes things happen that knock you off your course. And we're going to talk a little bit about your journey here. Can you kind of talk to me about when things have gone wrong and how you've worked hard to overcome that?
Yeah, the biggest thing in my life was 5 years ago, lost my job. Right. So I was at a manufacturing facility focusing on new product development, engineering, program management. Some things happened internally that put me into a level of management in terms of general manager / CEO for a few months. And then they hired somebody else. And then working with that person a few months ended up being terminated. So something I thought would never happen in my career. That is the biggest pressure that anybody can have. And I never thought it would happen to me.
And why did you think it would never happen to you? What about you thought, I'm good, I'm solid? What was that?
Well, it goes back to my character and just getting things done. Right. So I'll cover my own costs, and I will make the company money and I'm going to do it happily and energetically. It just never occurred to me. There's people out there that you work with or you see in other organizations like, man, how is that guy even at a position of, some sort of management authority? It's just interesting. And then you find yourself, unemployed.
And were you married at the time, and did you have kids? And you
Oh
talked
yeah.
about your family. Yeah. So what was that like? I'm interested, and I hope I'm not prying, but you
Oh,
went home and you had to tell your family or your wife. What was that like?
yeah. Well, ironically, it happened on my son's birthday,
No.
and I was not going to be able to be him with him on his birthday. They were all at our other house, and they gave me the news, and I was like, well, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go see my son on his birthday. It's a bit emotional to think about it, but ironically, I think they agreed I was also good because I was also asked to stay for 2 weeks. Normally, when you get laid off, they walk you out, but they're
Mhm.
like, hey, we got to go a different direction, but we need you to stay for 2 weeks because the new person doesn't start for 2 weeks. So there's that situation. But this actually was a silver lining in my career, right? So this position I had was an hour to an hour and a half drive every one way every day. I never really saw my youngest.
Mhm.
She was asleep when I went to work. She was asleep when I came home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And so, when you decided that, okay, somehow you switched the switch, like that's a bad day, and then you had to get up and do a good day. So what was your process? How did you turn it around? And
yeah,
did you find something quickly? Did it take a little time? What was that like?
it took a long time, a lot longer than I thought. Here, I was naive enough to think I was a great asset to any organization, and I've got some steps here that I can go through that it went for me. But I was naive enough to think I was going to double dip. Right, I had a
Mm.
6 month severance coming at a nice salary, and I thought, okay, I'll take a few weeks off in the summer because it was summer. Well, I'll get after it after July 4th. I should have something by, I don't know, mid-August, right? And then I'll double dip for 4 months.
Yeah.
So I'll give the ending. It took
Yeah.
10 and a half months.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, I can go into
Yeah, let's
more
do that a
details
little
about
bit.
that later.
So 10 and a half months later. So somewhere along the line, then you're starting to second guess. Are you second guessing your ability, your character? Are you worried about your family? What's the overwhelming stress that's happening somewhere in the middle of that 10 and a half months?
Well, it's actually all the above. I mean, you look at yourself initially, like, how am I not landing these positions, right? But there's many phases of unemployment. First, you think you're going to be able to just find something quickly, right? You talk to your immediate network and see what they can, put you in the right direction, everything like that. But when you start having failures and not hearing what's going on, then yeah, you do start looking at yourself. And even to one point, I had a beard. I have a beard. It's just what I look like. But when you meet with these other companies and you're interviewing, some people have an old school mentality.
Yeah.
So I actually ended up shaving my beard, and then I landed a job after that. It was so, and I had sought out these individuals that were helping in this journey in terms of all these different networking groups. And one individual, older guy, very old school mentality. I asked him, like, do you think I should shave? Right? Because that's like the 80s, 50s, 60s, 80s, 90s rule.
Yeah, the
Shave
dressed
going
for
into
success
interview.
thing is where that comes from, right? It comes
Suit
from
and
dress
tie,
for
yeah.
success. Yep.
Right. So I did end up shaving, and like a month later, I got the job. So it's weird. It may not align, but it goes down to that psychological, thought and concept of why am I not landing these jobs I know I'm perfect for.
Yeah.
So
And do you think that was why though? So I think that's coincidence. I think there's a
yeah, I
little
would
something to
agree.
that. I'm part of the old school. Like I'm part of that old generation. I don't believe that, but I do believe that if someone else believes it, then it might be true.
Exactly.
And so I think that's coincidence. But is that the reason you weren't getting the jobs, or can you look back now and say, no, this is what was going on?
Well, I think wholeheartedly that it's a lot easier to interview well and land a position if you are currently working. If you are tainted by not being employed. And the longer that goes on, people start to question. And I mean, I've hired people, and you look at people's resume and their gap in their employment, and you think, well, it's been 6 months, it's been 10 months. Why has this guy not landed? There must be something that we're missing that other people have caught. So we're not going to take that chance. So we're just going to, go find the other guy. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it just happens all the time with everybody out there. So, I mean, I have to do it too. Looking at my, when I look to hire people, I look at their resume, I see if there's a gap. I try to question that and be understanding now that I know, and then all the people I meet.
And I'm interested in just a little bit, because I know that the job market's changed now, and everyone says there's all these jobs available and not enough people. And I get that. And that's one thing. But also there's people that are losing jobs from downsizing and from different innovations and things of that sort. And it's harder for an older person. If I were, it would be harder for someone like me to find something today, regardless of the job market. It's just the kind of the way it goes. What can you share with someone who also is having trouble finding a job in that 10 months? You also had to get up every morning and put your feet on the ground and get something done. Like, how were you able to keep your confidence? How were you able to keep your enthusiasm that something was going to change? This wasn't going to last forever. What'd you do to keep yourself going?
Personally, I went through, again, all the phases, right? Initially sitting at the laptop, applying for every job that fits my ability, learning the ins and outs of how to beat the computer system in terms of applying for a job.
Oh, wow.
Because it's, there's lots of things out there where it's looking for name and word matching association to even get you into the visibility of a human, right? There's lots of tricks there to at least get your resume in front of somebody.
Okay.
So I went through all that. Ultimately, it came down to networking. And so I joined several different Northeast Ohio job-seeking groups, meet people there, go have coffee. I believe 90% of fulfilled positions are because you know somebody else, right? It's a networking situation. Somebody else can back you up.
Yeah.
So these networking groups help. You can go out and meet people, have coffee with them. Therefore, they've met you. They kind of understand your story. And then maybe they can be an advocate for you. And it is just as simple as, hey, I just met this guy. He sounds like a great guy. I don't know him from Adam. I don't know if he's good or not, but you should at least take a look at him.
Yeah. Just like any business, that you need that referral, we need that word of mouth, that kind of thing to make it happen. And so let's fast forward now. In fact, actually, did you have any jobs in between the one you have now and the one that you lost in that 10-month span? Okay. So let's talk about this new job. So you find this opportunity. I imagine there's a story there.
Say on the rule, only decision makers can get other people to make decisions. Each and every day, we have a decision to make. Also, when we're with buyers in our sales process, we have a decision to make how we're going to lead that interaction. And if I'm somebody that can make daily commitments and keep those daily commitments, then when I'm with buyers, I expect them to make commitments and keep those commitments to me throughout that sales process. So first and foremost, I have to have a decided heart in order to lead other people to make the decisions that I'm expecting them to make.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah, actually. Oh, yeah, there is. It's networking. So I had reached out to friends at church, and one of my buddies referred me to a company in Worcester, a Hummel Group. I interviewed with them and thought about it. It's like, it's not a path. That's not what I really want to do, right? It's like, I don't want to read insurance policies, but it was a salary that can get my family food on the table, right?
Yeah, you do what you got to do.
Right. But in the end, it's like, this isn't what I want to do. Thanked them for their time. And then maybe a month later, the person I interviewed with, he referred me to my current company.
Really?
And wow. They insure Luke Engineering. And actually for darn near 3 months, I was trying to get in with Luke Engineering. And here I made the same mistake that everybody makes. I thought it was Luke in Worcester, Luke.
Yeah.
and for forever, and for like 3 months, until I finally realized, like, what? It's here in Wadsworth, like it's 7 minutes from my house. So I finally met with them, and they were looking for a leader to help run the business while the owners kind of just took more of a retirement / setback.
Yeah.
And so I've been there almost 5 years now.
Good
It's
for
been
you.
going really well. There, I did actually have, so in terms of adversity and pressure, I did get a job offer in like December, January. My 6 months severance had ended, right? In December. Going into January and February, I got an offer down in Columbus, like south of Columbus, and we used to live there. But we weighed all the options and I turned it down.
And why was that?
We have a cottage that's a couple hours away. We didn't want to move the kids away from school, move away from family. So we decided, we're not going to do it. It was a very high paying opportunity. You just got to weigh all your options. Does it make sense or not? So it didn't make sense. I declined it. And then I was unemployed for 4 additional months.
It's interesting. This is now you got emotional earlier. I'm going to get emotional now. There's something about doing this show that teaches me things. It's called Purpose Under Pressure. And that sun's going to come out, isn't it? Even when the storms are rising and they don't seem to go, and if you keep on plugging, it's going to be okay. You turned down 2 opportunities during a time when you were unemployed and having trouble. Severance was out. Putting food on the table wasn't easy. I'm not going to ask how you did it.
Right.
But you held to your purpose so that you could land this job that you've been at and doing well for 5 years. And I just think that's the definition of the show. And I congratulate you for sticking to your guns and holding out, because not everybody has that gut, that gumption to get it done. So good for you, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So what's next? So now you're in this job for 5 years, and I don't know that you're going to be in it forever. And it's not really about that. It's just, I'm wondering, your purpose is still helping people. It's still doing good job. It's still taking care of your family. What's the next pressure that you better be ready for so that you can overcome the next things?
Well, I don't know exactly what's next. I mean, I've got my heart set on a few things, and what I'm looking at is really what the next 5 to 10 years pressure is.
Yeah.
Right. So I got to look down the road. I'm, 45 years old, and where will I be personally? Where will the company be? What's that look like in 5 years? So I'm 50 or 55. So just like you say, the older you get, the harder it is to land a position if need be.
If
right?
you need to.
So I'm with a great company now, and it's family owned, and everything's going really well.
What do you do to improve yourself and to make yourself better for your current company, better for Jon Allen, doing the things you're trying to do? I know you were part of Leadership Medina. I know you're doing some different things. What do you do to kind of sharpen the saw, as Stephen Covey says?
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I did Leadership Lead Institute 2 years ago, referred to by our president. She was in 21. I did 22. Mm-hmm. One of my employees did 23, and now we have another employee doing 24. It's really good. And again, it boils down to networking, right? Seeking or not seeking, it's just good to know people, right? Yeah. And then I told, Terry Green, who was, the lead person at the Lead Institute for our class, that I was interested in boards, to be on a board. So, now I'm currently the treasurer of the MC Chamber Charities, that we give scholarships to non-traditional and traditional students, and it's all about education and moving people forward. So I'm getting involved in that. That's where you and I met, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm also the president of the board at our summer cottage as well. So trying to keep those people at bay, and so just learning, basically continuous education, just minor stuff like this next month, I'm going to be taking on more Excel training classes, right? I'm already pretty damn good at Excel, but, there's like a level 3 I'm going to try to do, and see, just to keep my pencil sharp, I guess. But
yeah. Well, you do 3 things when you do that. You improve yourself so that you can improve your job. And those folks that pay you want excellence, and now you can do a better job for them. You improve yourself so that they can't let you go. If that were to happen again, like it happened to you before, they're going to look twice because you've got all those things. And then, of course, in case something does happen, or you need to make some kind of change for whatever reason, you're improved that much as well, and you're that much better situated. So you said at the beginning of the show, my purpose is to help people. And so you have overcome the challenges so that you can, and you're making yourself better so that you can in the future. I don't know, Jon, whether anybody listening to the show is going to need their aluminum anodized or whatever you do. In case anybody did, though, want to reach out to Luke Engineering or to find you, how would they do that if they wanted to talk to you more?
Oh, I appreciate the plug. So Luke Engineering and Anodizing, you can search us on the web, but www.luke, it's LUKEENG.com. So lukeeng.com. And then phone number, we're kind of old school. So 330-335-1501.
You still have one of those phones? Those telephones?
Landlines.
Yeah.
So, but we run 24 hours a day, pretty much 7 days a week right now. So we are I don't know, you call it big fish, small pond kind of thing, right? Yeah. So we are.
That's the best place to be. You don't want to be the other side of it.
Right. No. So there's not a whole lot of there's competition close, but they're not as nearly as large as us. And we continue to with my personality and my growth strategy, we're looking to do a building expansion and all this stuff. So the future looks bright. Just call us if you need any help. Well, we do things all the way across the country. We've done stuff for people in Arizona and California because we're good at what we do.
That's good. That's good. And you have good people just like yourself doing it for you. So thank you very much for being on the show, Jon. I appreciate your vulnerability. I think somewhere along the line, there's a person out there, he or she will have lost their position or will have been facing something that doesn't seem to want to end. That storm, that pressure doesn't seem to want to go away. And I hope they find this show because I think your story is inspiring. And I really appreciate your sharing it with us. It wasn't an easy time that you talked about, but yet you gave us the story. And I just thank you very much for sharing.
I still do. Anybody can contact me personally to talk about their journey because I look at people's resumes, and that was one of the things I learned. I mean, I redid my resume probably 30 times in that 10 months just by people's different, aspects and building a brand strategy. Like, who would think you need to build yourself a brand strategy, right? To try to promote yourself. And people don't like to do that. You don't like to toot your own horn. So contact me directly and I'll help where I can, right? I'll give feedback. I'll meet you if you're local. I don't want to see people on the street like I had to be for 10 months.
Yeah. And with the economy, the way it changes and the things that happen, who knows what's going to happen. So I appreciate that. Would they find you directly on LinkedIn? Is there a better way to reach out to you?
LinkedIn, Jon Allen, or, I'll give my cell number, 330-241-9379, or Jon Allen 88 at Gmail. So JONALLEN 88 at gmail.com.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I'll urge our listeners to only call you one at a time. So not all at once. Very good. Jon Allen, thank you so much for being our guest on Purpose Under Pressure. This show is done weekly, and it is brought to you by the Ruby Group. Sandler Sales Training. Sellers are under pressure to perform, and Sandler helps you succeed on purpose. I was talking to Mike Jones the other day from the Ruby Group. He's the owner there. And I asked him, hey, are you number one yet? And he put his fingers up, not quite, but I know they're on their way. So thank you to them for sponsoring and being a partner in the show. You'll find all past episodes of Purpose Under Pressure at brianmediastrategies.com/podcast. Also, wherever you stream your podcasts and on YouTube. We do this every week, and we will see you next time on Purpose.